What's going on, everybody? This Afro Think Tank. I want to talk about the passport bros and the ones that think they're gonna make it a career on YouTube, and they think that's gonna be their come up. So the new passport bros that decide that Brazil's no longer the spot, it's probably still the spot, but you have the new flavor of the month, right? Dominican Republic is way too hot, right? The Philippines is too far for a lot of them. Thailand is too played out, it's too old, and Africa's like the new place.
Hi guys, so yesterday I was tagged to this video by my friend Amy Hood Smart, and I'm glad he tagged me. The video is made by a Pan-Africanist slash OG passport bro, because I have heard this guy call himself a passport bro in another video. So he is talking to young future passport bros who are planning to go to Africa. So I couldn't really find a single angle to review the video on, like I usually do with the other videos. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to review the whole video, not really the whole, but most of it.
Right? And I'm talking about the passport bros that want to have fun. I'm talking about the young ones, the ones that actually watch Austin Holloman and those other ones. Like, because if you're watching Austin Holloman at his age, then that means you're under him, right? That means you're just now. And if you're inspired by Austin Holloman to go do the same thing, then I'm talking to you, right? Because you would be the inexperienced traveler, right? And the thing is,
I have a problem with this because most of Austin's followers are not young people. They are older people. They are middle-aged people, and the people he is inspiring to travel to Africa are I'm going to say that most of them are actually middle-aged men, and they are not young people. I think older passport bros love to claim that Austin Holman is inspiring younger people because they see how passport bros, are behaving all over the world, and they want to blame it on the younger generation, when in reality a lot of the people, the passport bros behaving disgracefully, are middle-aged passport bros. So yeah, I do not agree that the people that Austin is inspiring to travel to Africa are young people. I think, yeah, there may be a few young people, but I'm going to believe that the majority of them are going to be middle-aged men.
Africa is a different beast when it comes to the women, because in Africa, the women culturally hold themselves to a certain esteem, right? So if you're going over there trying to look for the sex spots, because that's what the young cats are doing, looking for the sex spots, where the hoes at, right? If you go over there with your camera to almost any country in Africa, and you start to do that, you will be looked at as a person who is exploiting the women, period. That's what's gonna happen, right? And the thing is, if you don't have, and if you think YouTube's gonna pay you a bunch of money, they may. If you have charisma, if you may look good. But keep in mind, even you yourself as a passport bro, right? If you don't have if you don't have more talent than just you showing people that there's ladies here, then your YouTube career will be very short. No matter how much success you have immediately, your YouTube career will be very short, because at some point, dudes gonna get tired of just seeing you as a dude going around supposedly banging all these chicks, right? With no actual proof, right? Just your word for it, and maybe a lady sitting next to you. So unless you can bring more value to your content, unless you can go to these countries and not only show the women, but show the cultural side of the women.
I disagree a little bit here, because the audience of passport bros, the audience that watches the YouTube videos of those, the passport bros, they are not there to watch culture. They are not there to watch, how people live in other countries. They are just there to watch, how to get women in those countries, and to be told that, it's much easier to get women in Africa than it is back home, back here in America. So yeah, I don't think, in fact, if you look at Austin's video views, his video views almost crash whenever he tries to show anything that doesn't have to deal with women. So no, I don't think this is true, and I'm not even putting a judgment call on it. And if you guys have heard me before, I actually want Austin Holman to show how he lives. I don't want him to go out of the way to show African culture, African, how Africans live, how rich African lives, or how poor Africans live. We don't need that.
As a Pan-African, I'm like an ambassador. So when I go to Africa, when I talk about Africa, I'm talking about the good side. I'm showing a level of respect. And it's my job to make sure that young, horny African Americans don't go over there and ruin the reputation of African Americans who've been going over there trying to do real work.
And of course, you guys already know that I have problem with this, because you should not be just showing the nice part of Africa, just showing the bad part of Africa. Like I said, just show us how you live. And of course, I don't like the idea that, when we are talking about Africa, we should center Westerners. I mean, we shouldn't care whether it shows good or bad on Black American, because, Africa, most people living in Africa are not Black Americans, they're Africans. So we should be centering them. I mean, it's almost like, talking about racism and trying to center white people. So
because if you walk around and you're posting it on YouTube and you're embarrassing, you're exploiting the women, you're gonna look like a dirty lollipop on the ground, right? As sweet as you is, you're still dirty, all right? And I always make this reference: the dirty lollipop on the ground is something that was made to be sweet, but after some while, after being all over the place, it's disgusting and nasty. So you as a man could start to look like a dirty lollipop laying on the ground as you expose yourself to woman after woman after woman after woman on the internet for potentially millions of people to see. They will see that you're not serious. And once they see that you're not serious, your reputation will precede you whenever you go. And then people don't want to have nothing to do with you. And when people don't want to have nothing to do with you, your YouTube career will be over.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree here a little bit. I mean, but yeah, you guys know that I am sex positive, so I do not think having a lot of sex makes you a dirty lollipop or something like that. So, but the thing he said about your reputation being destroyed by your behavior is a good advice, and young people, which I don't really think that those are the men that Austin is inspiring to go to Africa. But if there are young people, yeah, you should know that your whatever you do is cumulatively adds to how you are viewed. You cannot just do one bad thing today and think that tomorrow it will be forgotten. The more bad things you do, the less, and the more you destroy your reputation.
Because remember, when you go to these countries and you talk about the women in these countries, there's also men in those countries that take pride in their women, and some of them will probably have a problem with you disrespecting their women or using their women as a toy or a plaything instead of coming over there being respectful as you should be when trying to truly and honestly date women. All right, you have to show these women a level of respect, because if you can't, if you're the type of person that goes to Africa and you judge and you categorize women and you judge them and you do all these things to the black women in Africa, that also goes to show that you were doing the same thing in America, and you're probably not the type of person that should even have a black woman either in America or in Africa. Because like I said, if you disrespect the African American women, right, in America, and you think you're gonna go over there and you get one that's gonna be different, well, guess what? Those black women over there are the same black women over here. They just have a different culture.
Exactly. And this is why I will never separate myself from Black American women. However they treat Black American women is how they will treat African women. It's obvious that a lot of these passport bros what they hate in Black American women is not their Americanness. What they hate is their blackness. And the blackness that Black American women have, black women everywhere have. So however they treat, however they view Black American women is going to be how they will view Black African women. Probably even worse, because Black African women have even more blackness in us than Black American women do. So yeah, I am so glad he said. I mean, we thought it's the way the audience reacted to African light-skinned women with weave to African dark-skinned women with weave. So, and that is the way they treat the dark-skinned women here in America versus the light-skinned women here in America. So that is, however they treat Black Americans here, women here is going to be the same way they will treat African women in Africa.
These countries, because they're getting tired of African American young youthful dudes going over there disrespecting the woman. And I'm just saying, because I'm starting to see a bunch of copycats going over there, and I'm not talking about Austin Holloman. I'm not like talking about him per se. I'm talking about the other ones that's looking at Austin Holloman and now they're hopping on planes going to Africa. I'm talking about the other ones that decided, hey, let's shift ourselves to Africa because Austin Holloman shifted to Africa. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Because you guys can create an environment that's toxic, and you can mess it up for all the African Americans who want to go over there and actually do something. Because it's
this guy is saying the same thing that Travel Time with Paul said, which it seems like low-lifers are being inspired by Austin Holman to go to wherever he's going and engage in behavior that he's engaging. And I have been, it's so like, why are low-lifers inspired by Austin Holman unless they see him as one of them? And I mean, from the way he behaves, they're not wrong, right?
If you want to get your stick wet, more than likely you should shut your mouth and not say it, because it may seem cool and chic right now, but keep in mind, Africa is not America. And a lot of you brand spanking new travelers, ones who ain't never been there, been nowhere, you ain't got your passport, you ain't done nothing, trust and believe. Kissing and telling can be very dangerous. Kissing and telling can be very dangerous. So if that's what you're going to do, be very tactful and mindful about how you act and you treat people in these countries, because this is not America. You don't have no American privilege when you go to these other countries.
I don't know what he means by here. I mean, he almost makes it look like, Africans are violent. We are not. I mean, I didn't understand this part. Actually, you have a lot of American privilege, believe me. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we are seeing, like Americans engage in, is being tolerated because they are American, and they have more American privilege in Africa than they do here in America. So yeah, they have a lot of American privilege. So in general, it looks like the passport pros have destroyed everywhere. They have destroyed Brazil, Dominican Republic, Colombia, and Thailand, and now they are taking their disgraceful behavior to Africa. Hopefully, it will not last too long. I mean, it is kind of sad, right? Because right now, Africa is doing better than it did, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. We don't have, as many coups as we used to. I mean, I know that there are a couple of coups in West Africa, but a lot of African countries are stabilizing. They are developing. They are, they are better today than they were 30 years ago. But with that betterment comes, being open, being more welcoming, I guess, to foreigners. And Africa is having to do with passport pros, and that's kind of sad, right? Anyways, that was what I wanted to say.